Let's start with Caleb. Has he practiced, or I guess just what is he just my back hurts, I can't play?
Yeah.
I can't play?
Yeah, I think it's the pain, it's the functionality, his ability to like turn and twist, and then also the pain tolerance with it as well. And so we're taking it, I hate to say it like it's like a cop out, but it really is one day at a time, and we'll see how he feels. The good thing is he's able to get in for extra treatment on a day like today, spend time in there with Vic and continue to work on it. So we'll just see how it evolves.
Has there ever been a conversation if we just set him down for 2 weeks, like that's going to get him back to 100%, or that's just not how it works?
Yeah, it sounds like that's not how it works. Like it certainly rest will probably give it a better chance to be better, and that's what we're trying to do right now. But ultimately, I don't know if there's such a thing as like 100% for whether it's Caleb or any of our guys at this point. And so hopefully with the time off right now, it's improving. But to what extent, we'll see. And again, we've had a little bit of a break from last game to next game, so we'll see how it unfolds the next few days.
Has your guys' defensive ball pressure been the same for the last couple of weeks, or has it dropped off a little bit?
Well, I'd say certainly when you look at defensively, where we've probably been at our best is when we're four guards and we're quick to closeouts and we're into the basketball and we're flying around. That's probably where our defense is at its strongest. And certainly, like Caleb impacts that. Him not being on the court, I think his strength is to pressure the ball. His strength is to fly around, give multiple efforts on defense. So when you play a defense that's built on being proactive and being aggressive and setting the tone, how quick you are, the speed that you have on the court impacts that. And so there's times where I'd say it's good. Like even again in our last game against Texas, second half, felt like to start the half, we were really good. I mean, we strung together 7 stops in a row. At times, sustaining that has been more of the challenge, I think, with certain lineups. And then when you look at lately, as we've played Jazz at some 3, you look positionally, and now, not that Jazz isn't a really good player, but relative to guarding a 6'4" guy, he's probably not going to be in front of the play. So all those things factor in for sure.
How do you adjust when you are playing? Jazz even at the 4, Trey at the 4. Those guys can't switch like if you were at your 4 guard.
Yeah, we're trying to incorporate some more zones. More opportunity to go man to zone, zone to man. Maybe pick up in 3/4 court and try to shorten the possession. So everything's in play. And just looking at how, just like you would offensively, defensively, having those guys be able to play to their strengths and what's realistic for them to do. We certainly require everybody plays hard and fly around, but you also have to look at when other teams are playing 3 or 4 guards and you're playing potentially 3 bigs, how does that factor into our defensive plan?
When that's your identity to change it out of necessity to one degree or another at this time of year, how difficult is that for everyone?
Yeah, it's a challenge. We've seen our team when we're at our best, what it looks like, and when we're flying around defensively in our man. And it doesn't mean we don't use our zone as a change of pace, whether it's the 1-3-1, the 2-3, or even picking up 3/4 court. But our identity is built on playing that defense in that manner. And when we've had our best successes and our best stretches in games, it's been doing it to that level. So it'd be great to have everybody healthy and everybody back and be able to play that defense the way we built it around the strengths of having our guys, healthy.
You didn't have Jazz the last time you played down there. How can that, and Caleb won it at the horn or something, I don't know, 30 seconds, whatever it was. How can that impact and change, impact this game? You didn't have Jazz, and now what do you expect from Jazz playing against Oklahoma tomorrow or Saturday?
Yeah, from an offensive standpoint, Jazz allows us to space the floor more. He is a guy that knows how to move the ball and screen off the ball, which is good. It opens up the court a little bit to be able to go inside. It gives us another scoring threat, which for us, we're coming off a game we didn't score the ball great, and to have more guys out there that are able to get to double figures or to be that threat to the defense important. Defensively, Jazz gives us somebody that he kind of puts out fires. He just knows where he's supposed to be. He takes charges. He blocks out. He understands what the other team's are trying to accomplish, so he knows how to, be impactful defensively. There's a lot of things he brings to the table for our team that help make us better when he's out there.
Oklahoma has obviously been an interesting team with how up and down they've kind of been from game to game. But when you've seen them play really well on film, what is it that has allowed them to have success?
Well, I mean, you look at, they're probably 3 weeks removed from an Alabama game where they won by 20-something. They're 5 days removed from going to Texas and taking overtime and having chances to win. When they're at their best, they can really space you offensively with Groves at the 5, and they turn into the aggressor because they're able to space that court offensively, and they don't turn the basketball over. I think when they're having challenges, it's not spaced as well, and they are turning it over more. And I think you can see from when they're playing well to not, the turnovers is a pretty big factor. Also, other teams' ability to score the ball in the paint. When they can keep the basketball in front and try to make you beat them from over the top, I think that's helped their defense. So against Texas, they did a great job of both, and like I said, had chances to win late.
Speaking of turnovers, when you guys have had games where you have more, and I'm not talking about the live ball variety versus dead ball variety, but just like when you've had more turnovers, what have you seen being kind of the common denominator in those games? Is there anything that sticks out? Is it something the defense is doing, or is it something that you feel like your guys are doing that maybe is causing some of those things?
When we have turned the ball over more, it's usually the result of other teams pressuring us, picking up more full court, or extending their pressure in the half court. It's also the result of guys like Taman and Jaron having to play 36, 37 minutes, which is probably not ideal, putting guys in those spots. So the pressure, what it does is it puts guys in positions they're not always used to being and making decisions. And I'd say that's where we've had our biggest challenges, is specifically on the road against teams that press us full court and then pick us up. And that, there's probably some consistency there from the West Virginia game to the K-State game to the Texas game, where those things were relatively similar.
I know it was a little while ago now, but looking back, what did you like about how you guys played defensively in Norman? Obviously holding the Sooners to 60, I believe like 40% from the field, 41% as well.
Yeah, our guys did a good job. First of all, defending without fouling. We didn't commit a lot of unnecessary fouls and put ourselves at deficit. We did a great job of guarding, Sherfield specifically, who's their leading scorer and their most aggressive offensive player. I think we did a great job as a team containing him. We got the right guys, I think, that we wanted taking the shots from the perimeter. We took the threes away from guys we wanted, and they had some other guys that didn't make, that don't always make them or shoot them at a high percentage that shot the ball well. I'd say those are some of the, like we did a good job offensively, scoring in the paint. Shun came out and was really aggressive early. We jumped out to, I think it was 22-5 lead. So, when our guys jump out to that lead and we're aggressive, especially at Hilton, it certainly puts us it gives us a great chance. And, I thought that's something that happened down there in Norman.
What's the value of, because your identity is so firmly established, the defense and the way you play it, to being able to kind of like calmly diagnose when things are not going the way you want them to go versus why is this happening? This is why it's happening, and be able to communicate that?
Well, I'd say as much as even, we're talking about the defense and the ball pressure, the truth of the matter is when our offense is struggling, that's probably what it takes a little bit of that aggression away from our defense. It's personnel related, but it's also related to when we have our offensive challenges, whether it's the pressure that pushes us out, whether it's the turnovers, whether it's, not finishing plays at the goal. And when those things happen, they mentally, it has a mental effect on you, and then you don't feel quite as aggressive. And look, I think even the other night we went to the locker room and everybody regrouped and we came out and I felt like we were aggressive. We got 7 straight stops, but then we only scored 1 time. So, I think the scoring, in that situation, you score 3 or 4 times. Now all of a sudden you cut it to single digits potentially, and you're back into the game, and it's entirely different feel. So I think it works both ways. It's personnel related defensively, but also there's the mentality of we got to see the ball go through the hoop a little bit too. We've got to be able to convert plays. We've got to be able to take care of the basketball and do those things so we don't put ourselves in those challenging spots. Because when we've turned people over and when we've rebounded well, our shot attempts is far greater than our opponent. And when we're in that position, we haven't had a whole lot to worry about. We've been in a good spot.
How have you seen offenses adjust to your guys' ability to take charges over the last month or so?
Yeah, more people don't play bigs against us. Like even K-State started 4 guards for the first time, and Tomlin, who plays the 3 and the 4 a lot, they played him at the 5. So what they want to do is try to open the court, put more ball handlers out there, more playmakers out there, and space us as much as they can. Like I said, it's usually playmakers, but it could also be shooting. So, we're in a spot where we're pretty convicted to playing the guys that we play. So when you have guys like Rob and Shun out there, and other teams want to, play smaller, now you're making those guys probably guard more on the perimeter or away from the basket, which does open the court up and then makes it harder for us to keep things congested.
Are you seeing, as soon as guys turn a corner, like, a lot more floaters than trying to get to the rim, though, that they know you guys are looking to draw a charge?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think they're definitely stopping short or trying to, make multiple passes so they don't just drive it and they know on that first side or second side we're gonna come over and be aggressive that way. So I'd say that's fair how people are attacking for sure.
In that respect, are there certain officials that let that stuff go?
We already know the answer, but go ahead.
Let that stuff go, call it. No, I'm not asking names. Let that stuff go, call it, and that, I don't want to say dictates, but it's got something to do with whether your guys are going to be taking charges or whether they should, go aggressively.
I have no comment pertaining to the officiating.
I mean,
I would say this.
Major League Baseball have books on umpires about strike zones.
I would just say, like, there's, in our league, there's certain games we play in where there's more fouls called, and there's certain games we play in where there's not as many fouls called. We need to control what we can so we don't over-foul and put ourselves in a challenging spot. And then there is such a thing as adjusting to how the game's being called and understanding that, on a given night, there's 3 human beings officiating. It's not going to be the exact same from night to night, and then, specifically on that call with a block charge, it's some nights you feel like it's close, right, one way or the other, and they call one way, and now you kind of stay with that call for the night. So I'd say, like, we have to be really good at not committing unnecessary fouls, and then we have to be really good at understanding what's happening in the game on all fronts to make sure we adapt and adjust to play, give ourselves best chance to win.